Hi, welcome to Scrambled. This is my first video, so I thought I should make it on my cubing collection. I won't show all of my cubes, but I'll show the main ones and some of my favourites. First, I'll talk about my main cubes, aka the ones I use in competition. For Pyraminx, I use the MGC. I don't have much to say about Pyraminx as I've never actually competed in it, but it has adjustable magnets and I quite like the turning. So for Megaminx, I use the YJ Yoo-Hoo V2, and it's a fully magnetized Megaminx. Lots of Megaminx solvers like to use this cube. I quite like the grips on it, as you can see the little circles, and yeah, I'm sure if you've tried it, you'd like it too. So for square one, I use the YJ MGC. I'm not very good at square one, so I haven't got much to say, but I think it's a very nice. It's fully magnetized, which I like, and yeah, it's recommended by a lot of square one solvers. So it also comes with black caps included, so it's a plus, I guess. For Scube, I use the Moyu RS Maglev, I believe it's called. It has quite nice purple internals, if you can see, and quite vibrant shades, and I quite like the turning. It's very smooth and frictionless feel. I'm not very good at Scube, so I don't have much to say, but it's also got the classic Moyu adjustment system, if I can find the right corner. The adjustment system Moyu use on most of their cubes, and I don't mind it, but I wish they would upgrade it on the 3x3s. So for big cubes, I don't really compete in them, so for the 6x6 and 7x7, I have the MFJS Moyu big cubes, mainly because they're cheap and I knew I wouldn't be competing in them. They are not that good and the turning isn't great, but it'll do for a collection piece, both of them. But for the 5x5, I just have the standard magnetic Meilong 5x5, I believe it's called. But since I don't really compete in them and I'm not very good at them, it'll do for me. For 4x4, I use the YJ MGC. Like most people, it's a very solid 4x4 with fast outer layers, which I quite like in a 4x4. And yeah, I'm not great at 4x4 either, because I'm not great at any big cubes really, and I'm kind of intermediate. But I really do like this 4x4, and it did improve my times from a Moyu Meilong that I had before. For 2x2, I use the GAN 251M Pro, and this is a really solid 2x2, but for the price, I don't think many people are willing to go for it. It has got adjustable magnets and even corner magnets, comes with GES nuts as well, and it's a really solid cube for anyone who's willing to spend the money, of course, since most GAN cubes are very overpriced. So for blindfolded, I use the Moyu RS3M 2021 Maglev, and there's no real reason for this apart from the fact that it's the only one I wanted to take the sticker off of, because I'm not too bothered if people don't know what this cube is or the brand, because well, it's a budget cube, and but it turns really well. Now for 3x3, I couldn't actually decide between the GAN 13. It is the only flagship I have from GAN because they're so expensive, the Tornado V3, or even the Moyu Weilong V9. So I got the Tornado V3 first, and I really enjoyed the smooth feeling. This was after I mained the Moyu RS3M 2021 Maglev, and it was a very big upgrade from that because this was my first ever flagship. After that, I got the GAN, which immediately improved my standards for speed cubing with its smooth feeling and lots of settings, especially with the magnets and the adjustment system. But the Tornado also had that, so I wasn't too impressed by the hardware. And finally, I got the Weilong V9, which what stood out to me the most was the magnets and the strength and the auto alignment of with the edge magnets. And well, I thought this cube was quite stable compared to the others, so I eventually made it my main. So both the Tornado V3 and the GAN were very good cubes, and they did meet my standards, but what stood out to me the most was the V9. Even though it didn't have adjustable magnets, the same adjustment system that Moyu has used for years now on all of their cubes, which you'll see later, I just really like the feel of it, and that's what I've used in competition ever since. For one-handed, I don't actually have a main because I don't do one-handed. As you can tell, I'm pretty poor at one-handed. I don't know how people do it so fast, and I don't think I will ever be able to learn. You may also be wondering about clock. I haven't got a clock yet. I didn't really think I would want one, so I just haven't got one yet. Next, I'm going to be moving on to miscellaneous 3x3s, starting with the Moyu RS3M Super. And this is just the standard version, I believe. It's your standard 3x3, to be honest, very similar to others you'll find on the market. But at a very nice price at I think £12 or £15, it is very affordable and a good cube, and I would recommend looking into it. Similar with the YS3M. This is a bit more stable, a bit sandier feel out of the box when you get it, and overall I think it's very good. It's also the standard version, so on the budget price point, a lot cheaper at around £12 to £15, not really sure, but it's a very solid cube for the price. Next we have the GAN 356 XS, I think. I don't really know the names anymore. I quite liked this cube for a long time actually. I liked the very smooth feel of it, and this made me believe this was my first GAN 3x3, and this made me think the GAN 13 would be very similar, but I was shocked when I got it, and it wasn't. It was actually, this was quite a bit smoother, and I just didn't really like the GAN 13 at first, but since then I have gotten used to it and do like both cubes. Next we have the Dian Tengyun V2, I think. This is a very smooth and quiet cube, very big magnets. They are adjustable, which is good, and it's got a very confusing and tricky to get to apparently adjustment system. I'll see if I can get in now. Maybe use a screwdriver. Yeah, so this is the adjustment system. Not sure if you can see it very clearly. I don't think you can, but it's very confusing, and in this day and age I don't think I'd recommend getting it anymore, unless you just want to collect it like I did. So otherwise it's a nice cube to play around with. It's very smooth and quiet, and that's why I enjoy solving on it. Next we have a Moyu Meilong M, I think. It's quite the basic 3x3, it's not great. It's fully magnetized, but it's on the very cheap side. I think you can get this from anywhere from £5 to £10 really. But if you're gonna go for a 3x3, I would again recommend one of these two, Super RS3M or YS3M, or even the RS3M if you want. These are all great options if you're on a budget and don't want to spend too much money. Next we have the YJ Ball Cube. It's quite a fun cube for the collection, and I would recommend getting it if you like a few different cubes in your collection. It's very loose and tricky to turn, but overall it is good, and a lot of people have liked this one. So overall I would give this a good rating, and it's a nice piece to have. Up next I have this, I'm not really sure if anybody knows what this is. They can tell me in the comments, but it's quite a loud and pretty bad, not much corner cutting on it, not 45 degrees at least, and it's not great as you can tell, but I think this was one of my very first speed cubes. Next up we have two Rubik's brands. I think this was my first one, extremely bad turning. It's quite old, I think, maybe a couple of years, I'm not sure. I think it was my dad's originally, or my brother's, and this one is their speed one, not GAN, but it's their speed one. Still pretty bad. So this is a Chi Warrior S, I believe. It's pretty random. It's a very cheap cube. It's non-magnetic. And if you're starting out, I don't think I'd go for this. I think it's around £5. And again, I think it's better to go for something like the RS3M or YS3M or something like that. But still a relatively nice speed cube if you're a beginner. And quite different shades, a bit lighter, quite nice. But again, if you want a budget cube, go for one that's magnetized, because these days you can get one for a cheaper price. Here we have a mini one made by Yushin, I believe. It was originally a keychain, but I took that off so I could just have the cube. As you can see, there's a hole, but turns surprisingly well for its size. But yeah, it's quite a nice thing to have in the collection. Here is a 3x3 made by Shengshao, I believe. I think it's a Mr. Gem or something like that. I'm not sure. I might have. It's a very old cube. It was my first magnetic cube. I think I ruined its lube at some point because it does feel very slow now. But it was a relatively good cube back then, and I did enjoy using it. It was my first main, so that's very nice. This is the Z Twisty Cube, I think. I'm not entirely sure of its name, but as you can see, it's got quite a nice pattern throughout it. And I am actually hiding something. It's not actually solved, so you can get parity on this cube because it shapeshifts. And it can actually give you quite a pretty challenging solve if you're not too used to how a 3x3 works. Here we have the big old Yushin 9x9. Surprisingly has very nice turning, but slightly big for my liking. It is a solid 9x9, but the size is challenging when you're solving it. I've only solved it once, and it took me quite a few hours because I'm not too experienced, but I will give you a size comparison after I've done this checkerboard pattern. So there's a checkerboard pattern on it. It looks quite nice, and I will show this compared to the V9 or the MFJS 7x7. So as you can see, it's quite large and challenging to turn, but it's a very nice looking puzzle. Has really nice and vibrant shades, and overall I really enjoy this puzzle for also a very cheap price of only £30 for such a big cube. So these are my main speed cubes. I do have a few more that I will show you a quick video of, but I don't think they're worth talking over and telling you all about them because they're just miscellaneous cubes like mirror blocks or axis cubes and stuff I don't know how to solve, or stuff that doesn't have a name, or cheap things. So I'll just show you them on the shelf because I don't think it's worth getting them out because it might be a bit boring. So here are the rest of my cubes. They're not really worth showing individually, but we have some beginner sandwich cubes, more Megaminxes, Killerminx, 4x4 by Rubik's, 5x5, big cube, mirror cubes, Megaminxes, Pyraminxes, stuff like that. That you already know my mains for. But yeah, I've got some of those $1 cubes, as people like to call them, and a homemade F2L practice cube, if you can see that in the back there. The Void cube, and some other cubes like this, and I don't know how to solve it, so that will remain in the darkness for now. I hope you enjoyed my first video on Scrambled, and please remember to like and subscribe to show your support to my new channel, and hope you have a great day, and bye.